Our last storyteller is Jaron Jones, who is a co-founder of the storytelling company Self Narrate, who is obviously helping to host this event tonight, and is a nationally recognized speaker and storyteller. His PhD research specializes in using narrative approaches to enhance self-awareness, self-efficacy, personal hardiness, and diversity within leadership environments. He lives in Gainesville, Florida with his wife, his beat machine, and video equipment. So Jaron has a lot more to offer to you, but tonight you'll hear a great story from him. All right, welcome Jaron to the stage.
How's everybody doing tonight? Good, I'm doing good too. It's the Story Summit. I feel like I'm at my peak. I'm feeling ultra healthy, hence the T. I have not had meat for 26 hours. Is that right, babe? 26. Very healthy, very healthy. I'm feeling it. Cheers. A few things that I was reflecting upon leading up to Story Summit. I feel like I'm in a space where I'm my most authentic self. And I'm very happy and proud of where I am now. And it was a journey to get here. Happy anniversary to my lovely wife. We've been together for 1 year and 7 months. Yes, we keep track of months. That's my best friend. I love you and I appreciate you. Let's see, what else did we have tonight? No meat, 26 hours. And as you all know, I'm the co-founder of Self Narrate along with Brandon Telg. 5 years ago, I met Brandon in a class. And from that class project, we birthed Self Narrate. And that became the process of getting me back to where I am today, my most authentic self. So to understand why this is such an important moment for me, I have to give you the backstory of how I almost didn't get here. Let's take you back to little Jaron. I mean little Jaron. I'm talking about legs dangling from the stool Jaron, you know? Now imagine little Jaron with the confidence of Kanye West. Right, that means no one loves themselves more than I love myself right now. And I had a family, I had a tribe, a community that encouraged me to be everything that I wanted to be, to explore everything that I wanted to explore, and that I could do everything that I wanted to do. So with that being said, when I was 9, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a rapper, I wanted to be a producer, I wanted to make films, I wanted to do all these things. 5th grade, I took a standardized test. It told me to pick one. That started the trek, where I was not living my most authentic self. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do, but I knew I needed to go to college. Now, we were full of love in our house, but our pockets weren't full of money. So I knew I needed to get a scholarship to go. So I find out about this scholarship at a recruitment conference to North Carolina A&T State University. There's a recruiter from the United States Department of Agriculture, and he's looking, he says, "Young man, come over." And I'm like, okay, this is kind of Yoda-esque, but sure, I will come. So I get there. He says, "I see you have your transcript. What do you want to do? What's your major?" I said, "I'm kind of open for anything." By this point, I was just like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. I'll take advantage of any opportunity, and I'll just be successful. That's what I was thinking. Now, he looks at my transcripts and he sees I have a high chemistry and high math scores, and he's like, "Have you ever thought about being a soil scientist?" Put my cup down for that. "You can get paid for playing in dirt?" He's like, "Well, first, it's not dirt, it's soil." I learned very quickly, don't mix those up or I might lose a finger. And then he said, "Yes, it pays very well. $98,000 worth of a full ride. Pays for your college tuition, pays for your summer internships, and a guaranteed job in the federal government." I'm thinking, this might be a good opportunity. My mom was like, "Where do we sign up?" You know? So we sign up, and I get it. And I'm still thinking, okay, I can make this work. I can make it work. Why not? I get to North Carolina A&T, and the classes in soils I do horrible in because it's not a part of my story. Remember little baby Kanye? Jaron Kanye Jones. I'm supposed to be doing all these things, working with people, growing community. I love being on stage and doing things that make people happy and make people smile. I love that. but I'm a soil scientist. But I can make it work. So 4 years go by very quickly, especially when you know you have a deadline before you have to become the thing you major in. I figured out a way to get one more year. I went and got my master's. I did the master's, and it was in professional service. So it gave me a little bit more time to work with people. And I started to feel that sparkle again. And I realized I need to be back in these environments. I need people. Well, I graduated. And it was time for me to go into the workforce. Now, I'm in North Carolina. My grandmother is in her 80s, and my aunt, she's courageously fighting stage 4 lung cancer. And if you're watching Aunt Faye, you're still here. They told you that you had 6 months, and that's been 10 years ago. So you've been fighting. So when New Bern, North Carolina pops up on the map, there's a free opening. Now, they advertise these positions internationally. So when you graduate, you could go overseas, you could go to Ohio, you could go anywhere. New Bern was an hour away from where my grandmother lived. So I thought it was perfect. I stayed with my grandmother, and I drove an hour to work every morning. Now, I'm loving what I'm doing because I'm able to be home. I was the man of the house for a little while, you know. And I was feeling like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing until I got to work. And now I had to be a soil scientist. That's also when I realized why no one took this job in New Bern, North Carolina. So New Bern, I'm gonna paint a picture for you. For those that have been there, beautiful place, not a great place to dig soil, but I'm gonna tell you why. It's very similar to Gainesville in that it's a swampy area. And as a soil scientist, when we're doing these studies, they send you into spaces that are around your land type. So we went into the swamp. We went into these areas. Now you can tell by the way I like to layer, I was not prepared to get dirty. But I'm gonna figure out how to do it, right? So for about 2 years, I tried to push my way to tell myself that I loved this. And I hated the fact that my coworkers loved their job and I couldn't figure out a way to love it the way they did. So every day it's getting harder and harder to go to work. I'm feeling guilty because I'm supposed to be happy at home because I'm able to provide a service and provide love and anything that anyone needs at grandma's house. But inside, Jaron Jones is like, get out, what are you doing? It got to the point where I said, you know what? I need to at least start researching other options. I found out about leadership education and leadership development here at the University of Florida. Now, I started to give myself every reason why I couldn't do it. My GRE score would be horrible. I wouldn't be able to get in. Made every excuse, every limiting belief you could think of. I started the application. I did not finish the application until one special day. There was a catalyst. The universe sends you things to help give you that extra push sometimes if you're willing to listen. I'm gonna set the stage for you. We would get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and we would drive into our soil destination to get our plots, the soil plots that we were supposed to collect. We did that because in the spaces that we were going, when it was 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was very hot. We'd go through cornfields, we'd jump ditches, we'd go through plains, briar patches. It would be very difficult. Some days we would use machetes and machete all day to the GPS point just to come back the next day to finally dig that spot that we chopped all day to get to. So it's a very beautiful morning, about 6:30. Sun is finally getting up, and I'm with 2 of my coworkers, David and Barry. Really great guys, and they love their work. We go through a cornfield, we hop a ditch, we cut through some briar patches, and we get to the final destination. It's in the middle of the woods. Very remote. I don't know how long it's been before anyone had walked that land, maybe never. I see something very interesting out of the corner of my eye. I look on the ground, and it's something that looks familiar but unfamiliar at the same time. And it looks like chewed corn, but a mound of it. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, I have no idea what this is. What is this? So I call my supervisor and I say, David, what is this? And David looks at me, I promise to you, he says it just like this, oh, it's just bear poop. No. I know you probably think a little bear, maybe no. When he said it was bear poop, I thought of something at least this big. This mound looked like a mountain. At that moment, I realized I had to make some decisions. Was I going to die a soil scientist? Because the bear's coming back. And so I go, so David, what do we do if the bear comes back? And David's like, oh, just make a lot of noise. I'm 22 at the time. I'm looking like, that does not give me any comfort. And he says, well, unless the bear has cubs, and then it's going to protect its cubs. And so I'm like, okay, you're not helping the situation. You're not calming me at all. So then he says, you know what? You don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the people that you're with. Cool. David's in his 60s, Barry's in his 50s, and I'm fresh out of college. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to explain to your wives that you all told me to leave you at the truck. So, but at that moment, I was sitting there, and I was looking at the trees. David and Barry had walked off to try and take some more samples. I was looking at my life in the middle of nowhere and wondering how I got there. And I realized at that moment that this was the bottom of the mountain. This was the time where I realized I had not owned my own voice. I had not owned my story. And at some point in time along the way, I lost my identity. It was not a soil scientist. It was Jaron Jones. I was a little boy who loved working with people, who loved to entertain, still wanted to be a rapper, comedian, actor, director, and wanted to be a doctor. That night, I finished the application. 3 months later, I received a full scholarship. I packed everything up in my 2009 Nissan Altima with the blessing of my grandmother, my aunt, and my mother, and the rest of my family. And the first class I took here was an interpersonal leadership course where I met Brandon. And our first assignment was to tell our story. And I started to find my identity again. And I knew I had made the right decision. And I knew I would never let go of the pen again. And so 5 years later, we are here in the Heartwood Soundstage with 3 storytelling organizations. And we are at what I feel is the summit of regaining what I like to call my Kanye confidence. And so with that being said, I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight. I want you all to remember to always hold a pen when you're writing your story. And just always remember to grow your story, grow yourself, and together let's make a better community.